This is a bad, bad situation. I think this is something that's going to taint whatever legacy he hoped.
Stephen A. Smith just dropped a bombshell about Cowboys star Micah Parsons, painting his financial life as a total mess. According to him, Micah might be headed straight toward the gutter. But the jaw-dropper? What Stephen claims Parsons actually wasted his fortune on. Let's unpack this. The messy trail of Micah Parsons' money feuds and personal drama finally exposed. If you believe Stephen A. Smith, Parsons is staring bankruptcy right in the face. But this storm didn't suddenly show up in 2025. For years, the All-Pro linebacker was no stranger to controversy, often caught in heated fights on and off the turf. The cracks in Parsons' 2025 contract saga were actually planted back in 2024, when clashes broke out over his 50-year option salary. The Cowboys locked in his option, guaranteeing him a base of $21.324 million. Yet Parsons and his rep argued he was worth $24 million, since he was being used like a linebacker, not just a defensive end. That $2.676 million gap sparked a grievance in early 2025, proving just how ugly things have become over what should have been routine contract details. But here's the kicker. Parsons dug his own hole way earlier in December 2023, when he went public saying he'd take a hometown discount, putting team wins above max money. That statement reportedly infuriated his agent, because it basically signaled Parsons might settle for less, killing Jetta's bargaining power. Straight up self-sabotage. He basically told Jerry Jones he didn't need to cough up full market value. Things exploded further when Jerry Jones swore he and Parsons had already sealed a contract extension with just a handshake during a sit-down in March 2025.
What the negotiation was. Guess who has to be comfortable for this to work? And who else? You. Hello. There's not room for a third. There's not room for a third. This will be a good one.
Jones believed this was practically done. A 5-year, $40.5 million per year deal that would have crowned Parsons the highest paid non-QB in NFL history. But Parsons flat out denied it, insisting the talks were casual and that it pushed Jones to deal only with Jetta. That clash became the spark that torched any hope of a deal. What makes this handshake deal saga wild is how it shows the massive gap between old school owners and today's player representation. Jones, still living in the era where a nod sealed millions, truly thought he locked Parsons down in their one-on-one chat. But Parsons, living in today's world where agents call every shot, saw it as nothing more than small talk. The collapse hit hard when Parsons' agent, David Jetta, got the contract details and allegedly told the Cowboys to stick it up our ass. At least, that's how Jones later described it publicly. This wasn't just about contracts. It was a head-on collision of negotiating mindsets that had no middle ground.
Anything. I've never tried to do anything that I actually was going to bring all the services and somebody else was going to do all the money. But because the in-between guy wasn't exactly the guy that I had fit there, that kept you from doing the deal. That's exactly what's happening here. So many times in this industry, you have a different agenda going on with agents, a different agenda. They're playing a game.
The real fireworks began in training camp when Parsons staged a hold-in at Oxnard, California. He showed up for the required team functions, but refused to practice, claiming back tightness. An MRI later revealed no injury, and the Cowboys announced him medically cleared, flipping the story to suggest his absence was contract-driven, not health-related. Former NFL exec Joe Banner quickly called Parsons out, saying he had no excuse to reject a top-tier deal. The hold-in tactic was sneaky smart. By attending mandatory sessions, Parsons dodged some massive fines tied to skipping, while still squeezing the front office by citing back pain. When team doctors cleared him, he demanded a second opinion, leaving the club unable to prove he was faking. It was a calculated use of the league's medical rules to shield his paycheck while still showing contract frustration. But Parsons' money battles weren't limited to the Cowboys. He'd built a reputation for sparking loud financial beefs. In April 2025, he clashed publicly with NFL icon Deion Sanders and his son, Colorado QB Shedeur Sanders, after trashing Shedur's NFL readiness. On a podcast, Parsons mocked his ball patting before throws, saying that ain't gonna fly in NFL, while also side-eyeing his flashy persona. Dion snapped back, defending his son's stock and legacy, sparking a social media brawl right as Parsons was deep in contract talks. Fans were split. Some called Parsons refreshingly honest. Others said he was unfairly targeting a college kid. Either way, the feud reinforced his hard-to-handle image and kept his name in the headlines. The timing was brutal. Instead of locking in generational money, he was busy picking fights with football royalty. Exactly the type of drama front offices despise when nine-figure commitments are on the table. The tension exploded on August 1st, 2025, when Parsons officially demanded a trade through a statement on X, blasting the Cowboys' negotiation tactics and Jones' direct dealing. He stressed fairness and trust, writing, "I never asked for anything more than fairness. I only asked that the person I trust to negotiate my contract be part of the process." He then scrubbed all Cowboys mentions from his socials and dropped a cryptic TikTok featuring Allen Iverson declaring, "I'm a win wherever I go," a loud hint at moving on. At this point, it wasn't a contract scuffle anymore. It spiraled into an all-out PR war between one of the league's brightest young stars and one of its most old-school owners. What most fans still don't realize is, it turns out Parsons has been stirring public drama long before 2025. Back in 2023, on his Bleacher Report show The Edge with Micah Parsons, he blasted the national media for what he felt was unfair criticism of Cowboys QB Dak Prescott and others. He accused outlets of twisting narratives, saying, "I'm the face. I'm giving them their content. They're basically stealing my content, and they're wrong." Parsons also clashed publicly with ex-teammate DeMarcus Lawrence, sparking questions about his leadership. Yahoo Sports noted this dust-up raised doubts about whether Parsons could be trusted as a long-term cornerstone, especially heading into contract talks. The Lawrence incident stood out because it proved Parsons had no hesitation airing internal beef in public instead of keeping it in-house. And in the NFL, where locker room chemistry often decides seasons, having your young star calling out veteran leaders is exactly the recipe for dysfunction. This habit of going public became a defining thread in Parsons' career. Even his side ventures weren't safe from backlash. When fans slammed him for focusing on his podcast while contract drama raged, Parsons clapped back, defending his right to grow his brand. He even pointed to Shannon Sharpe's $100 million media empire as proof players could balance both. The feud got so nasty that the Cowboys floated the idea of labeling his hold-in as detrimental conduct, since doctors had cleared him medically. That could have opened the door to fines or suspension, essentially turning a standoff into a legal war. And let's not forget his pre-NFL baggage. At Penn State, Parsons had been tied to a lawsuit involving an alleged fight. Though unrelated to money, whispers about character and marketability likely lingered during early contract talks. Everything, the clashes, the money fights, the image questions, finally reached critical mass on August 28, 2025, when Parsons was traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and DT Kenny Clark. The move was immediately compared to Packers' legendary signing of Reggie White in 1993, a franchise-shifting acquisition. But for Dallas, it marked the collapse of what could have been a historic run, all undone by dollars and disputes. Still, when Micah Parsons is between the lines, there's no denying his dominance. And that's why Stephen A. Smith's fiery commentary on his financial implosion has hit so hard. When Stephen A. unloads on Cowboys business, you know it's about to get ugly. And trust me, he's been relentless about Parsons. Before torching Parsons, he set his sights on Jerry Jones, accusing him of stacking financial battles against the star. The ESPN Titan has gone after Jones with everything he's got, calling his handling of the All-Pro linebacker's contract absolutely shameful. On First Take and Beyond, Stephen A. has been ruthless, saying Jones' negotiating style has been nothing short of egregious. And whenever Stephen A. goes nuclear, you know the smoke means fire.
It's elite. It's big time. Jerry Jones needs to get his act together, but as egregious as his actions have been, it's nothing compared to what Stephen Jones.
Now here's where the heat really kicks in. Stephen A. Smith has been tearing into Jerry Jones for refusing to properly involve Parsons' agent, David Mulugeta, in serious talks. According to Smith, Jones bragged that he and Parsons already had a deal in place, but once the agent stepped in, it all blew up. Jones allegedly claimed the agent told him to stick it up our ass when the contract details came across, and Smith wasted no time calling it what was a power move gone completely sideways. The ESPN firebrand has been merciless about Jerry Jones' mindset, suggesting the Cowboys boss is banking on holding Parsons hostage for the next 3 years through the 5th-year option and possible franchise tags. But as Smith put it, that's not how you treat a generational talent who's given you 52.5 sacks in 4 seasons. His relentless point has been that Jones' entire stance is shaped by salary cap stress from bloated contracts with stars like Dak Prescott and C.D. Lamb.
This is a bad situation. And I think this is something that's going to taint whatever legacy he hoped to have, because this is not a football decision. He can slice it any way.
What makes Smith's takedown even sharper is the way he's dissected the psychological games Jones has been running. He accused Jerry of straight-up bullying, showing outright disrespect by freezing Mo Ujeda out of process, a move Smith called an attempt to exploit a 26-year-old star. He painted Jones as an owner trying to corner young players into discount deals just because he controls the paperwork. And Smith didn't sugarcoat it. He flat out branded Jones a bully who uses intimidation, not honest negotiation. But he wasn't finished. He turned his flamethrower on Stephen Jones, Jerry's son and Cowboys CEO. When Stephen Jones suggested that Parsons has got to want to be paid as well, implying the linebacker lacked urgency to close a deal, Smith absolutely lost it on air.
Respect Stephen Jones. I still owe him a drink for crying out loud. But that is one of the most ignorant statements I've ever heard come out of the mouth of an executive.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back, calling it one of the dumbest statements he'd ever heard from an NFL executive. He defended Parsons' resume, 52.5 sacks, 112 QB hits, and consistent Pro Bowl honors across 4 seasons. His takedown of Stephen Jones' comments was savage. Smith even questioned his credibility, hinting that Stephen's role existed only because of his father's ownership, not any true front office skill. The ESPN personality bluntly stated, interview 12/24, 12/33. This wasn't just critique anymore. It was a straight-up character demolition of the Cowboys front office. But here's the kicker. Smith openly pushed Parsons toward the nuclear option, sitting out games to force Jerry Jones' hand. On August 27, 2025,
I still owe him a drink for crying out loud. But that is one of the most ignorant statements I've ever heard come out of the mouth of an executive.
He advised Parsons to skip the Week 1 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles to prove his worth and make Jerry sweat. He even drew parallels to Emmitt Smith's holdout in the 1990s, stressing that refusing to play without a proper deal was the only way to secure long-term security. And honestly, the strategy was sharp. Smith knew the Cowboys' defense would collapse without Parsons, and dropping a divisional opener would crank up the pressure on Jones instantly.
I want to send a message and create a little bit of discomfort for Jerry Jones the way he has done so.
Interview 13/14, 13/19. Smith suggested that Parsons' absence would spotlight just how vital he was, effectively boxing Jones into action. At that point, Smith wasn't just commenting, he was coaching Parsons on how to force his way out of Dallas. His commentary also ripped into the harsh financial truth. The Cowboys' salary cap was already bloated with deals for Dak Prescott, C.D. Lamb, and others, leaving little room for the mega deal Parsons deserved. Smith argued Jones might even be weighing a trade for draft capital or players, a prediction that, soon after, proved chillingly accurate. When ESPN's Adam Schefter hinted 2025 could be Parsons' last season in Dallas, Smith agreed, saying Jerry had grown salty and was actively sizing up his star's trade value. His message was clear. You can't run a successful franchise with this kind of reckless money management and still expect to field a contender. Meanwhile, the media circus only made things worse. When Parsons was filmed lying on a training table during a preseason game, rumors flew that he was sleeping through the action. Smith and others piled on, but Parsons later clarified he was simply resting from back tightness and thanked the reporter who corrected the false spin. The real sting of Smith's analysis is how he connected every thread. The cap problems, the egos, the botched handling, and the looming cost of losing a once-in-a-generation defender. His warning that Parsons might not finish his career in Dallas wasn't just talk. It was rooted in a sharp read of just how toxic and dysfunctional the whole saga had become. And on August 28th, 2025, the prediction became reality when the Cowboys traded. Parsons was shipped to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for 2 first-round picks and DT Kenny Clark. He then inked a 4-year, $188 million contract with a jaw-dropping $136 million guaranteed, instantly becoming the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And just like that, Stephen A. Smith had been proven right about where this train wreck of negotiations was destined to go. Fans across the football world were stunned, watching one of the game's brightest stars bolt from Dallas simply because Jerry Jones refused to bend in contract talks. But let's be real, this was only the opening chapter of Micah Parsons' financial saga. Despite the endless money fights, trade demand, and off-field beefs, Parsons' on-field greatness is untouchable. Say what you want about his brand building, his outspoken nature, or his messy disputes, but once he straps on the pads, he morphs into a wrecking machine that offenses have been terrified of since day one. The accolades and stats back it up. Drafted 12th overall by the Dallas Cowboys in the 2021 NFL Draft out of Penn State, where he had already earned consensus All-American honors, and was named Big Ten Linebacker of the Year 2019, Parsons exploded into the league. His rookie year wasn't just impressive, it was historic. In 16 games, he racked up 84 tackles, 13 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. Those 13 sacks were the 4th most ever by a rookie, trailing only Julius Peppers, Reggie White, and Leslie O'Neal. But here's the thing that separates the legend from just the good players. Parsons didn't fade after one hot rookie season. He didn't just make an entrance, he made sure he wouldn't fade away. Micah Parsons was unanimously crowned the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, voted into the Pro Bowl, and secured a spot as a first-team All-Pro by the Associated Press. What stunned everyone was how he dominated as a pass rusher despite being drafted as a linebacker, proving his adaptability and sheer athleticism, and instantly gaining league-wide respect. His peers ranked him 16th on the NFL Top 100 Players of 2022, and that was only the opening chapter of his reign. What made Parsons' rookie season even more historic was the timing. The Cowboys' defense had been searching for consistency in their pass rush for years, and suddenly this rookie flipped the script, redefining their defensive identity overnight. His 42 quarterback hurries led the team, while 12 tackles for loss showcased his disruptive power against both the run and pass. In Week 8 against the Minnesota Vikings, he posted 11 tackles, with 4 for loss, grabbing the NFC Defensive Player of the Week award and letting the entire NFL know that a new menace had arrived. His sophomore campaign in 2022 erased any doubts of a one-year wonder. Parsons racked up 13.5 sacks, 65 total tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, and a 36-yard fumble return for a touchdown against the Chicago Bears. He even led the NFL with a 30% pass rush win rate per ESPN, proving how quickly he shredded blockers within 2.5 seconds. The dominance earned him back-to-back first-team All-Pro honors and another Pro Bowl nod, joining legends like Reggie White and Aldon Smith as the only player since 1982 to post at least 13 sacks in each of their first 2 years. But numbers only tell part of the story. What truly separated Parsons was his versatility and football intelligence. Unlike one-dimensional edge rushers who bank on raw speed or brute force, he refined a complete set of moves that made him nearly impossible to scheme against. His ability to line up anywhere, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive end, and even safety in special packages, created chaos for offensive coordinators who had no clue where the pressure would explode from. The 2023 season only added to his legend. Even with teams designing entire game plans to shut him down, Parsons closed the year with 14 sacks, 64 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 2 passes defended. His 10.5 career sacks against the Washington Commanders stood out as his most against any team, proving his dominance in divisional battles. And of course, he walked away with his 3rd straight Pro Bowl selection. He cemented his place further by being recognized as a Defensive Player of the Year finalist, proving once again that he belonged among the NFL's elite forces. In Week 2 against the New York Jets, Micah Parsons delivered a masterclass. For tackles, 3 for loss, 2 sacks, 1 pass breakup, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery, earning himself another NFC Defensive Player of the Week honor. That single game summed up why he's special. It wasn't just about sacks. He completely hijacked the flow of games, altering every phase of an opponent's offense. Quarterbacks shifted protections. Running backs stayed in as extra blockers, and offensive coordinators practically lost sleep trying to solve the Parsons problem. What elevated Parsons' credibility even more was his resilience during the 2024 season. An ankle injury cut him down to 13 games, yet he still piled up 12 sacks, 43 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 pass defended. Even while hurt, his 20.3% pressure rate remained the highest in the league over the past 4 years. His 11 sacks across the final 9 games showed he could dominate even while coming off an injury. Instead of using the ankle setback as an excuse, Parsons played through it, adjusting his style and proving that his mental toughness was as elite as his physical gifts. That ability to adapt under pressure separated him from being just great to being Hall of Fame level talent. The stats scream his dominance. His 52.5 career sacks in just 4 seasons ranked 5th all-time for a player's first 4 years, trailing only Reggie White, DeMarcus Ware, J.J. Watt, and Aldon Smith. Alongside Reggie White, he's the only player to post 12-plus sacks in each of his first 4 NFL seasons. Since 2021, his 330 quarterback pressures tied him with Max Crosby for the league's most, and his 251 pressures through 2023 were second only to Crosby. But the real story wasn't just about numbers. With Parsons on the field, the Cowboys' defense ranked first in defensive EPA per play. Without him, they ranked dead last. That dramatic gap told the truth. He wasn't just a good player, he was an irreplaceable one. What put him in a class of his own was versatility. While most premier pass rushers are locked into one role, Parsons thrived as both a linebacker and a defensive end. That flexibility made him a nightmare weapon, equally disruptive against the pass and the run. Defensive coordinators could line him up anywhere, forcing mismatches and confusion across the line of scrimmage, while offensive coaches stayed restless figuring out how to contain him. The chess game element of his play made him invaluable in today's NFL. With offenses growing more creative in schemes, having a defender like Parsons who could answer with equal versatility was priceless. He could lock down tight ends in coverage, collapse pockets from multiple alignments, spy on mobile quarterbacks, or even drop into deep coverage if needed. Simply put, there have been very few players in NFL history with such a complete skill set. The accolades just keep stacking up from Micah Parsons. 4 Pro Bowl appearances, 3 first-team All-Pro selections, and a Defensive Rookie of the Year award across his first 4 seasons firmly place him among the NFL's elite. His consistency is mirrored in the NFL Top 100 rankings, 16th in 2022, 9th in 2023, and 17th in 2024, showing the unwavering respect from his peers around the league. Then came the bombshell. On August 28, 2025, the Cowboys traded him to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for defensive tackle Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. Immediately after, Parsons signed a 4-year, $188 million contract with $136 million guaranteed, averaging $47 million annually, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. This wasn't just a record-breaking contract. It was confirmation that he's a generational force whose talent outshines any drama away from the field. The blockbuster move drew parallels to the Packers' 1993 signing of Reggie White, signaling a defining shift for the franchise. Analysts at CBS Sports and NFL.com praised not only his production, but also his youth. At just 26 years old, Parsons was already viewed as a long-term cornerstone. Despite the endless headlines about trade demands, contract standoffs, and public feuds, franchises were lining up to secure him because everyone knows exactly what he delivers. For Green Bay, who sat 26th in pass rush win rate in 2024, his arrival filled a glaring void. Giving up 2 first-rounders and a Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackle underscored just how irreplaceable his presence is on the field. The steady brilliance of Parsons is what sets him apart. While most players cycle through streaks of hot and cold performances, he's delivered elite results every single season. His 52.5 sacks across 63 games averages more than 13 per season, a pace that could rank him among the all-time greats if sustained. ESPN's analysis called the trade shocking, pointing out that the Cowboys' defense ranked first in EPA per play with Parsons on the field, and dead last without him over the past 4 years. That stat alone explains why he landed such a massive payday. When your presence can flip a defense from dominant to disastrous, you're worth every penny. And so, no matter financial disputes, the public feuds, or the personal controversies, Micah Parsons' standing as a premier NFL star remains unshaken. His ability to command, double teams, dismantle offensive game plans, and carry an entire defense overshadows everything else. That's why his $188 million contract isn't just about money. It's proof that in the NFL, once-in-a-generation talent outweighs all the noise. That wraps it up. Folks, thanks for tuning in. To catch more stories like this, don't forget to click the card showing on your screen and stay locked in for more.